Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers, and I want to welcome you to this glorious month of December and Christmas horror films.
Ho,
If you've
ho, ho.
That's one of our special guests, and I'll get to that person in a second. But what I wanted to say first is if you've been listening to our podcast over the month of December, you realize that we have been highlighting some amazing Christmas themed films, and we are not going to stop now. We're going to keep bringing them to you with even more Christmas holiday horror cheer. And if you've been listening to our show, you realize that what we do is we take an individual film, and me and a special guest or two, we critique, analyze, and have a general conversation about that movie. Now, it being the holiday spirit and cheer and gore, we're going to be starting off this podcast talking about yet another great horror Christmas film, at least in some of our opinions, which is the 1980 film Christmas Evil. And to talk to us about this film, we have the amazing Dave Watkins and Thomas Tenorello. Thank you guys for joining me on the program today.
Let me give this a shot real quick. Ho, ho, ho.
That sounds like drunk Santa.
I've never been able to do Santa. I don't think I'd be a very convincing one.
And
I think Thomas is a
Watkins.
little closer. Yeah.
What about you, Thomas? Can you do your best Santa impression?
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night of terror.
Okay, since he did his, I guess I gotta do mine. I gotta pull out my Santa belly first. And say, oh, Merry Christmas and happy slaying this year. Which is some of what's going to be in the movie tonight that we're talking about, which is Christmas Evil.
That was halfway there, though. It was kind of close. So then,
yeah, it's kind of scary. I've never actually dressed like Santa before, so it's really kind of crazy. But
it's a little, it's a little more challenging the part to do than you would think. Some people are very natural playing Santa, like the guy in this film we're going to talk about. But some people, it is kind of hard if you start thinking about it. It's just not natural for you to go ho 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 and be jolly. I don't know. Gotta come from the gut with it, I guess. The ho 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 and not sound psychotic.
Yeah.
Psychotic. Oh Jesus. Okay, so that being said, first of all, let's kind of get our kind of a roundtable discussion regarding our first impressions of this movie and when exactly did you see it. We'll start with you, Thomas.
Oh, me. Thank you, Kevin. I'm very happy to start this conversation of this film. So, like, the first time I saw, well, my first impression of this.
I don't think Kevin actually said what film we're talking about, though, did you?
He did. He did.
It's called, okay.
He did. It's called Christmas Evil. But if you watch the actual daggum movie, you realize that that's not the title at all. The title that appears in the movie is You Better Watch Out.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I feel like there's at least two other Christmas slasher movies called You Better Watch Out. So I think in retrospect, the producers or the people, the studio, whoever's idea it was to sell this movie as Christmas Evil, it's probably a better title. Although I would argue it still doesn't quite fit the movie because, I mean, what this guy does is not really evil per se. There's no real, like, force of evil in this movie. It's just kind of, he's just kind of sad. It's more of a psychological thing, but we'll get into it. I mean, I feel like the first time I was thinking back, my first impression of this was not seeing this movie, but seeing like a clip of it, or what I thought was a clip of it, on this weird it was a network affiliate called WGN or WMOR, and when I was a kid, I found this was like a Chicago affiliate that somehow my stations is St. Petersburg, Florida, where I grew up, I could get this station. I don't know how a Chicago affiliate ended up playing on St. Petersburg, Florida, but there we go. It happened in the 90s. But the station was weird because, like, they would play, like, reruns of old TV shows and also weird, obscure movies like this and, like, a heavily censored version of Ken Russell's Lair of the White Worm. And it showed, and then the clip I saw that they were advertising for this movie it showed like a killer in a Santa suit with a knife and by a tree, and then a clip of what I thought was like a kid and he was stuffing tinsel or decorations down their victim's throat, and it said Christmas Evil. And I thought,
Yeah.
ew, disturbing. But now I think maybe that was for a different movie.
Yeah, that's not this movie.
That's not this movie.
That sounds like it could be a little more entertaining. Not to say this one's bad, but I think for going into this thinking it's a slasher, that sounds like a slasher. This one is not that much slasher stuff.
No, it's not. It is not. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen. If you are going into this movie thinking you're going to get like this movie is disturbing, yes, but it is not gratuitous or gory, or it's not even really cruel or mean spirited. This is not Terrifier 3, ladies and gentlemen. Not by a long shot. There's not even I clocked it. The first actual kills, plural, happened in this movie about 51 minutes into its 90-minute running time. This movie is just one big giant build up to one glorious killing spree on one night on Christmas Eve. But I finally did see the whole thing many, many years later on Joe Bob Briggs's The Last Drive-In when I had Shudder and watched him host it. And it was a really fun night. I think it was for one of their Christmas double features. I think they had it on a double feature with Don't Open Until Christmas. That's I guess their double feature was like, let's have one killer Santa movie with a movie about a killer who kills Santas. So it was a great double feature. I ended up liking this. I ended up liking this movie a whole lot better than Don't Open Till Christmas, but I digress. Yeah. So that's that was my first impressions, and I guess you can probably tell, after the Joe Bob night, I really enjoyed this flick. It's so different than the sort of thing that you would associate it with. Like Dave said, this is not a slasher. This is not, and I feel like there's so many Christmas quote unquote horror movies that you realize that the really good ones, do certain things really well. And we'll talk about what that is and how this movie does it. But right now I'm going to segue it to Mr. Dave Watkins. Watkins, when did you first see this film?
So this movie, the first time I saw it was probably a few years ago. I saw part of it, and I have a Blu-ray copy of it from Vinegar Syndrome, and I broke it out, and with some other people at the house, and we've been drinking, and so we were kind of thinking it was going to be a slasher film. So, and it wasn't. We didn't think it was bad when we were watching it, but it wasn't like what we wanted at the time. So then later on, when I did watch it, I'm like, I'm just gonna have to watch this by myself later. This isn't what we need to be watching right now. But later on, I do appreciate it. I think that really the parts where it does get violent is really kind of almost the weakest stuff, because in a way it didn't really even need to go there to a certain degree.
So,
I mean, I think that it's interesting that you have a character who thinks that he is Santa Claus, and just that, and what he does to himself during the course of it, and just he has a like a delusional disorder, like probably a grandiose disorder that he's suffering from, and it's just it's really the psychological aspects of that and the build up. It reminds me of there's like that movie with Diane Keaton, like was it Meeting Mr. Goodbar or Making Mr. Goodbar, where she's suffering
searching
from
for Mr.
searching,
Goodbar.
yeah, where she's like suffering from that disorder. But it ends up, I mean, I think it needs to end violently, but I'm not saying it. I just saying it's the snap is kind of an odd thing to happen, and I don't know. But anyway, so I appreciate it, but it's definitely like it's not what I was expecting it to be at first. But at the same time, it's nice to see a Christmas slasher. This is a 1981 early version of Halloween. 1978 was really when the slasher heyday started, and people were ready for a slasher, I'm sure, when they saw this one too. But it does, like we said earlier, feel like something from mid to late 70s and not 80 at all. It feels very, very 70-ish.
Yeah. When did Bob Clark's Black Christmas come out?
I think it was 74, right?
Yeah. It was before Halloween.
But even that one doesn't feel like as dated as this does.
No,
And that
no.
one was earlier than
Also,
this.
because they have a whole mob scene with people with torches. Also,
Oh gosh, yeah, we'll get into
yeah,
that.
just in a bygone era
Yeah.
to be there. Now,
But that doesn't scream 70s. That
that's
there,
No, it
older,
doesn't.
that screams like, where
older.
did that come from?
Yeah, yeah, much
It's like,
older.
where do they even get those torches? You know?
Where they get torches? But Dave, I'm more like you. I came to this film really late. But I do remember the poster growing up. It just didn't seem like a movie I was interested in. And I watched a lot of horror films, but the poster is horror, but not horror. And so I never saw this movie growing up at all. I was like you. I probably saw it within the last 5 years for the first time. And I don't own it or anything like that. I think I probably caught it on Tubi or YouTube or something like that when I first saw it.
Yeah. I think I mean, it's really more disturbing than the slasher films. Just because
Yeah.
it is such a gradual, pretty good depiction of this gradual descent into madness that he goes through, and it's not like a slasher where, like we talked about this last night of Silent Night, Deadly Night, where it's just like a snap, which isn't. That's not what normally happens when somebody goes crazy. It's not like a snap. It is a gradual. This is realistic. That is fun, when it's a snap and then they go crazy. That's funner than this. This is very disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the closest thing I can think of to this movie is it feels like Taxi Driver in a way.
Yeah, I can see that.
It feels like both movies are about these social rejects who are shunned by society and are stuck in dead-end jobs, but yet they're both like hopeless idealists, and they both become, in their own ways, kind of a vigilante killers, basically. And they also both slowly descend into madness, and they're also kind of both have this really like overdeveloped sense of justice. And that's kind of what drives them, I think, in a weird way. But there's also so many other like weird psychological things going on that, I mean, we can get into. It's like I said, this film we said the first kill doesn't happen for 51 minutes into it, but you do see, I think a big part of the enjoyment of this is the tension of every moment that Harry, our main character, is on screen. Whenever he's doing Santa stuff, you're always on edge a little bit. And as the movie goes on, you're even more on edge as it goes on, because you're thinking, wait, as he's doing this thing, is this when he's gonna do something bad? Like like when he's watching his neighbors and watching the kids and seeing who's naughty and who's nice, is he making a list of the naughty people, and is he going to kill all those people on those lists? So the music of this movie makes you think that, because every time he opens that book, there's a stinger. And then there's other times later where he's like literally stalking like one kid in the bushes and scares the crap out of him. And his freaking mother, who is a total, just slaps him because she doesn't believe him. I'm like, why isn't she on the naughty list? But like, oh gosh, it's such a different time, man.
It is.
But like, yeah, so like that's the tension, and that's what keeps you watching. You keep thinking. In fact, it's best. I mean, y'all listening to us. You're probably gonna listen to us anyway. But I'm telling you right now, Santa Claus is coming to town. No, but the probably the best way to watch this movie, the most optimal way, is to probably go in as blind as possible, because every scene is on the edge of a knife. Once you see the cold open, and once you know that it's a horror movie, ostensibly, that like you're waiting for it to turn, and when it finally does, that the gore and the actual violence itself isn't the best part. The best part is the anticipation of it.
Yeah. Now that opening sequence, now it does remind me of, like, which is a later movie, Silent Night, Deadly Night. But when you're watching this movie, nothing that violent happens in that. But it's very traumatic for the kid. If it's something really weird happens right away, Santa Claus comes down the chimney in a way that Santa Claus can't come down the chimney,
Uh-huh.
and he magically. And so I'm not sure what. And there's
That's
actually,
what
yeah,
Oh yes, yeah, right.
yeah,
That weirded me out too. I was
yeah,
wondering if you would also notice that, because
Yeah.
I didn't really notice that the first time I watched this. Is like
yeah,
this movie, by the way, is like begins very abruptly. It has a cold open. There's
yeah,
no studio logo. There's no opening credits. There's not even a black screen. There's no fade in. It just cuts. Bam, house,
yeah,
Christmas Eve, 1947. Tells you right at the bottom, so you know you are oriented in space and time. But then after the establishing shot, you are at the stairs. And by the way, I just want to make a note about the cinematography in this movie. That part of what this movie does really well with the cinematography is something that I think all great Christmas horror movies do, which is they shoot it and frame it as if it's not a horror movie. Although there are moments that he tweaks it. And this
yeah.
first little bit of the stairs,
It all
there's
feels off though, even
it
though
feels
yeah, it's close to being shot normally, but it feels off when you're watching the scene. It
yeah.
just feels not really Christmas.
Something
But yeah,
Yeah, but the colors are
yeah,
so rich, and the focus is so soft, and the bright lights just twinkle so brightly. It's like it is like Bob Clark's A Christmas Story, and even Bob Clark's Black Christmas was shot the same way. And I feel like that's something that all good Christmas movies have to do, is that they have to embrace Christmas horror movies. I mean, specifically, they have to embrace the joy and the beauty of the season. I feel like if you're going to do one of these movies and do it really well, I feel like you have to deep down in your heart kind of really love Christmas and believe in it in a way, and you have to kind of show that on screen. It's kind of like if you're going to do a parody, you got to love the thing you're making fun of, and you've got to understand it in order to subvert it. And I feel like this movie does that. I don't know very much about the director, Lewis Jackson. He only made 3 movies, and one was called Transformation: A Nightmare Sandwich, or A Sandwich of Nightmares.
yeah.
And then the one other movie I suspect was a porno, but yeah, because there's no description of it on IMDb.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that's all. This is all he ever did as a director. But I feel like he did. This was kind of a labor of love in a way. Like, he wrote this, he directed it, and I think he put that right in the beginning. So you see these 2 kids on the stairway, and their mother watching with them, and the Santa comes down the chimney, and his feet like go through, and he dusts himself off. And I go, okay, I mean, as a guy coming down the chimney, I get it. And I noticed like the way that he goes through the motions of, eating the cookies. Like, he washes his hands in a gold wash basin first, like he's like the Jewish high priest or something.
But
And
it feels like the way that he's doing it too. It feels like everything about it feels off. He doesn't feel like Santa to me. And he feels like almost a little uncouth about it. Even though he's washing his hands and he eats the cookie, it doesn't seem. It's all odd. It doesn't seem magical to me. What's happening?
yeah,
It seems like,
it's filmed like that, but
Yeah,
it's
it's filmed like
staged.
that.
But it's staged weirdly. It's staged weirdly, and the dialogue, the one line of dialogue. See, he's happy that we did remember him. That it just comes out very, very disturbingly, and also because like the kid, there's 2 kids. There's Harry and his brother, his little brother, and then this is where things take a turn. Pretty much all good slashers start with some sin in the past that affects the present. This movie is no different, even though, like we said, it's not really a slasher, but it follows the structure.
Mm-hmm.
And the structure is the kid goes to his bed, but then comes back down and goes. It's painful even to rehash this, but like, he goes down and sees his mom getting her. I mean, if you're listening with kids, folks, please cover their ears or do something. But anyway, that he's feeling up her leg, and his dad is obviously this person. At least I think it's his dad. We never see him outside the Santa suit, so we just assume.
Yeah.
But he's still in the Santa suit, and it looks like he's about to go down on his mom, standing upright next to the tree. He never does it, but he's gearing up for it.
Right.
And
she's pretty turned on by that Santa suit, apparently.
I guess
Women love a man in costume.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, guys, ladies, you know, or you know, ladies out there, if you're watching this on YouTube, you know, just type in if you feel comfortable sharing this. Does anybody have that fantasy out there? I don't know if that's a thing.
There's a girl in that Bad Santa film. It's really
I get. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
There's got to be people who have a Santa fetish, so there surely has to be. But
the weird thing, Watkins, I forgot to mention is like before he just makes this discovery that traumatizes him, but just before that, we see Santa leave, and his little legs go up the chimney, really quickly with a, and that's what made me go, weird.
Yeah.
The only two things that make any sense, which is that either the boy was kind of the little Harry was kind of hallucinating, like this is from his point of view. He actually believed that he saw that, or the dad is so elaborate in his ruse that he's figured out some way to like get into a harness or something and hoist himself back up the chimney.
Yeah.
Which
I think
what do you think?
Part of the whimsical nature of the way it opens, the whimsical nature of the holidays, because they also bring that back as a resolution at the very end.
Yes, I was wondering about that. I think that's what I think, Kevin, I think that's what it is. I think that was a very, very subtle, genius little setup to the brilliant little twisted ending at the end of this movie that we'll dive in great detail towards, I think, when we get there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously there's two trains of thought. It is like you said, he's imagining it, or I don't think it really happened. I don't think it really happened, but it's because the rest of the movie's not fantasy except for the very beginning and the very end. Almost like into Grease, you know. So that didn't happen. So it's but
that movie's a Jacob's Ladder scenario. They died at the end of that movie, Dave. Don't you know?
But yeah, I mean, but it makes it interesting that happens, but it's also the only two instances of fantasy. But there is some conversation between the two kids in the bedroom. They are arguing whether or not the Santa was the dad, but it's never confirmed because they're saying it was dad. But what if it wasn't? It makes it even grosser the way that
makes it even darker. Yeah, if it's just like Uncle Phil or something.
I'm not gonna say I went that far with it. I did see that whole sequence and like the end of the film as part of Harry's illusion to want the holiday spirit to be true, to want everything that has to do with the holidays to be 100% true. And they both see someone who they think is Santa coming down and giving gifts, but the way he sees it is going to be different than the way his brother sees it. His brother, who is younger, who's more practical, would have just seen his father walk through and into the room and do the gifts and all that type of stuff. But Harry, who has this fantastic imagination and his belief, sees his father appear in the chimney.
Yeah, I think that might be right. But it does make me wonder as I see this whole, dress up as Santa, come down the chimney thing and give out presents. So my family does do something like that on Christmas Eve, except that we have our Santa come in through the front door like a normal human being, and give out presents and take pictures with all the kids. And it's a lot of kids because we celebrate Christmas in Florida with my first cousins. And there's all 5 kids now have at least 2 kids of their own. So it's a lot of kids, and it makes me wonder though, between like this and the account of, someone's dressed up as Santa coming down the chimney and snapping their neck in Gremlins, I'm wondering, ladies and gentlemen out there in listening land, or if you're on YouTube, chime in. Has anybody in real life ever actually, that you know of, ever actually dressed up as Santa and came down the chimney and delivered presents on Christmas
Yeah.
Eve? Was that ever a thing, or did movies just make that up? I think
It is,
it's the latter.
Yeah, the chimney's pretty big, but you can't go up a chimney, and like unless he was like going to go up there and hide until the kids went back upstairs and then come back down because you can't get out the top. But
Most of the
that
time,
chimney
yeah.
was big enough that somebody could go up it, but it's yeah.
Well, you have to think of they usually have a in the flume that little guard that you have to shut when you're not using it, so stuff doesn't get into your chimney.
Yeah,
when
you
you're
get
not
into the
using
top of it,
your
yeah.
chimney for what it's designed for, it's shut.
Yeah.
So you don't get random bats and everything else coming into your house.
Now the bat thing, though, I have heard of that happening. Though that is the thing that has happened in real life. What I'm saying is, I don't think anyone in the history of man and God has ever actually dressed up as Santa and crawled down the chimney on Christmas Eve and said ho 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 and given presents out to their family and gone up the chimney. I don't think that has ever happened to anyone in this America in the history of the world.
You know, you could have seen in Gremlins. In Gremlins, it sounds like he was just going to do that without anybody watching too.
Yeah,
because it wasn't like a big audience like this. He's just going to do that in the middle of the night and come down the chimney just in case somebody happened to see him.
You're right. That makes even less sense now that you put it that way. That makes that whole thing in Gremlins even less sensical. Wow.
Yeah.
Pink's dad was insane. Oh no.
Well, for this film, because we spent a lot of time in this opening sequence alone, this is very traumatizing.
Wait, Kevin, I don't want to skip over this opening sequence, but like there is some beautiful cinematography here because there's this great shot of a snow globe, like Citizen Kane style. Like the kid comes in and the background is in focus and the snow globe is in focus and it's huge. And he takes that snow globe and looks into it and breaks it. And it's like that's when he's broken. And then he cuts his finger with glass for a reason.
Yeah, that it doesn't tie into anything else. Even him losing it there, because he becomes he in present day time when he cuts to him, he wants to be Santa. He's got Santa stuff all over his house. He's obsessed with Santa.
Obsessed.
Yeah, but
he's got it all over.
Yeah, and I think like he's just always thinking about Santa. Can you imagine? It's like kids with dinosaurs or whatever they're hung up on. It's like he's caught up in this fantasy thing about Santa. But it is odd though when he cuts his hand and breaks the snow globe. That kind of leads towards something different of him breaking away from it. But he's actually embracing it more.
Well, I think that's part of what makes this movie interesting as a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
Because in a lesser movie, in a less psychologically informed movie, this would be the impetus for like a Silent Night, Deadly Night, where the kid grows up hating Santa, hating Christmas, and wants to get revenge on Christmas, basically, and goes and kills people as Santa to like bring down the Santa image or something. A really cynical filmmaker would make something like that. This movie is not that at all. I don't think this movie has a cynical bone in its body. I think it really does have a beating, bleeding heart to this. Partially because for the most part, it is from Harry's point of view.
Yeah.
Like we are inside his head, like at least half, maybe 2/3 of this movie. And we see it the way you see the world the way he does. And it's funny because like you would think that he would have a reaction to knowing or finding out that there is no Santa Claus by becoming like a Santa atheist or like a hardcore Santa atheist, like we just said. But no, as per what usually happens, or maybe not usually, but sometimes happens in real life, the human mind can do things the opposite of what you would think they would do. Like it's almost as if his break is not that is more like this. Santa is not real, but I'm going to make him real. I'm going to be the Santa that I need to exist. Like he needs Santa to exist. To maybe cover up that hurt, that trauma that he really kind of secretly kind of revisits. I guess you could also look at it from the point of view of maybe he no, he doesn't deny it. He doesn't pluck it out from his memory because he keeps going back to it. He keeps having little flashbacks of it.
Yeah.
So he's
But
not repressing it.
I think you're right when you say that he does need the Santa to exist. He needs it to be the right way too.
Yeah.
Where he felt the other Santa was not right, even though he did imagine him doing the going up and down the chimney, but he was also like doing the sexual stuff, which as a kid that was like seeing something horrific.
Yeah. Yeah. So like he's going to follow the rules of Santa religiously as much as he can. But even now, it's like a 40, 50. I'm not sure exactly how old he's supposed to be. It's 47.
He looks old, but people back then looked a lot older than they do now.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
But I mean, to me, he looks like he's in his 40s or 50s.
I almost feel like his younger, quote unquote, brother, who as an adult is played by renowned character actor Jeffrey DeMunn.
Yeah.
He feels like almost like he's older. Like he looks older than his brother.
Yeah, Jeffrey DeMunn like always looked old, and it's funny that he wasn't that old then. I don't think he's probably in his 30s
he wasn't. Yeah, he was. He always was balding, and he always had the scraggly blonde white hair. The first thing I ever saw Jeffrey DeMunn in, I don't know if y'all have seen this, but he was the horrific serial killer Andre Chikatilo in a really well made TV movie for HBO back in the 90s called Citizen X, where Donald Sutherland, Stephen Ray. Yep, it was a great movie, and he played the killer.
I saw it. Yeah, it's been a long time, but I don't remember it that well. I do remember they made a big deal out of it, made for HBO movie.
Yeah, and it was really well done, and he was great in it. So, but his brother, Harry, is played by Brandon Maggart, and I don't think he did very much after this movie. But dadgummit, I believe him. Like I believe every second that this guy.
I was looking him up. He's still alive. He's like 91 years old.
What?
Yeah, he's not 91 years old, and he's a painter and an author. And he hasn't done that much acting, but yeah.
Well, God bless you, Brandon, Mr. Maggart. If you're still out there and someone gives you this podcast on your phone or whatever, and you listen to it, we just gotta say we love your work in this movie, and Merry Christmas to you, Brandon.
So I made
my
outlook on this character is slightly different from you two's ideal of this character of Harry. I don't think that he has to believe in Christmas. I think his point is he has to have other people believe in it.
I think that's part of it too.
That's why he keeps the book of all the neighbors' children of who's naughty and who's good, and he doesn't give them a bag of coal. The bad ones, the Moss kid, he gives them a bag of dirt. And his motives may seem from the outside, like with the mob, seem very evil. But this guy, because this guy really is spying on these kids, like that would be pedophile.
Right. It kind of looks, but he's not. It's not that. It does kind of seem very, very creepy what he's doing, the movie's called Christmas Evil, so you're thinking already something really creepy is going on, and it's
not really like he does some of the stuff he does out of either fear and desperation or the fact that he comes across people who are mistreating others or they're naughty. But for the most part, he brings these kids at a hospital gifts. Despite the fact he stole them from his job, he brings them all gifts on Christmas Eve. Like he does, he is like he wants other people to believe that there is faith in Santa Claus, like he had when he was a kid, despite the stuff that he went through. He believes that it's gone, that the whole aspect is gone, and people need to see it. He's trying to explain this to his brother several times, and his brother, who doesn't believe in Santa and hasn't believed in Santa, has just written him off as crazy. He's mental. He's not psychologically there the entire time.
Well, his brother sees that he's got his house decorated for Christmas all year, and probably all he talks about is Santa.
Yeah.
There's a part where he had this office meeting, and he's talking to one of the guys at the office thing, and he says something about a tune that which he mentions later on, but he says that he can now hear the tune.
Yes.
And then, which is very interesting. And later on, he mentions again. And he says I've been looking for the right words, and I found them, and now I can play the tune.
Yeah.
And because he finally has found the tune, which is the psychological break that he has. He's found the tune to figure out how to really become Santa, and that's what he's discovered.
Yeah, when he turns, he goes full Santa, if you will. In that wonderful scene just before the spree starts, he when I call it the beard scene, where he's finally able to put on the Santa beard and glues it to his face and yanks on it so hard to see if it'll come out, and yanks it again, and it's not coming off. And he's like, "It's me, it's me." His full identity is finally like to him. Like he identifies as a Santa. That's his identity. Yeah. But I'm like.
That's what it is, though. He literally thinks he's Santa, and he's convinced he is. It's like a mental disorder.
But I will say that there is a continuity error in regards to when that actually happens, because you have to remember the scene right before he starts gluing the mask of the beard on is Thanksgiving. Because his brother is mad that he's not coming over for Thanksgiving dinner like he does.
Yeah, they got the It's pretty cool sequence too. They got the Macy's Day Parade on and all that, and Thanksgiving Day Parade. But there must be a time jump in there. It's not very clear. Yeah,
there is.
Not very clear.
This movie takes place over like a month, pretty much.
Yeah, because we only see him again when they actually. I mean, when we know when it's Christmas Eve, we are told it's Christmas Eve. But before that, it's like there's a jump that we're not privy to, and it just seems like it starts at Thanksgiving, his mental break, and then he just for a whole month.
I mean, that's what happens. That's what happens. It takes him that long, and that's what's interesting about it, and more realistic than a snap. Because it is a gradual, and he's been doing this for a long time, and he's found the tune, and he's like, over the course of a month, he's starting to become Santa in his mind.
Yeah, the tune I feel like is also, it's neat as you mentioned that, like there's this idea of, I think he never really externalizes that idea, except for the movie kind of does it for him, because this movie is just wall to wall Christmas music. Mm-hmm. Like it's everything they could possibly get that was public domain and just traditional carols and stuff. My gosh, it's like it's everywhere. When it's not that crazy synthesizer score that can also be alternatively magical and creepy, if it's not doing that, it's doing a Christmas song. Yeah. That's all you hear. It's wall to wall, and you know what? It's glorious.
Yeah. So some of those are pretty creepy sounding too, because they're older sounding Christmas songs.
Yes, they sound like ghosts singing it. Yeah.
But that sorry, I was going to change because we hadn't talked about his work yet, the Toy Factory. But
he works at a toy factory.
Yeah. So he's like, so it's a great fit for his delusion is, because he works at a toy factory, and I guess they make toys that he doesn't approve of eventually. But he's also his coworkers earlier on. One of the coworkers pisses him off, which he gets him to cover a shift for him, and then he finds out later that he's at a bar
playing hooky.
Even talking smack about it. So it's that sort of thing that everyone in the office, they think he's just an odd duck. They probably put him in this office off the assembly line just to get him away from everybody.
Well, I hadn't thought about that.
I hadn't thought about that being the reason he was promoted. I thought he was promoted. I thought he was just so dang good at his job in the assembly line that he ended up, getting promoted. Like he basically worked himself out of a job.
Maybe, but like I feel like
so. I think
I think they pick on him though. Like the people, like even like his all his coworkers, when they're interacting with him almost any time, they're like, okay, that was really weird.
I go. Go.
Yeah.
You say yours first, and I'll say my ideals. Oh, you
For
have
me,
it.
no, that was what I was saying. Like every time he's talking to him, they do seem like they're trying to have a conversation about business with him, but at the same time, he is going through something here that he may not have been going through a month before, because he is like very opinionated about what they say, and the way that they're trying to run the company, especially when he comes to like the new guy comes in there, and he's got like his new thing was all the people working there have to pitch in to pay for the toys for the shelter or the orphanage or
For the
whatever.
hospital.
They want to pitch in, and
Children's Hospital.
yeah, the hospital. They want them to pitch in with their money, and they need them to work more hours so they can get more toys made. And so that guy really makes him mad, and he tries to kill him later, but he's not successful.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Like he tries to kill him, but he ends up killing 3 random guys instead.
Yeah, well, he's trying to get to him, but he can't because there's like this big crowd of people. But I don't know. What do you think? I mean, obviously that's a shitty like way of operating the business, but what about that makes him as a Santa like what about that behavior makes it like really bad against Christmas?
No, I think what his issue was that I think Harry was triggered by that guy's line when he said, "I honestly don't know how many kids are in that orphanage."
Yeah.
Or not orphanage, but children's hospital.
Yeah.
He honestly doesn't know. Which
Harry
to Harry strikes him right in his heart, and he realizes this guy doesn't give a frack about those kids. This guy doesn't care, because the whole point is that they need to know how many toys to make. And if you're going to know how many toys you need to make, you need to know how many sick kids are in that daggum hospital. And you don't even know that, and you clearly don't even care to know that, you're going to freaking die, man. You see how that goes?
Yeah. He actually tells him, because the other guy, there's 2 guys there. One of them's like he tells that guy, he's like, you don't hear the tune at all, but you hear the tune, but you ignore it. It's something like that. He says to him. Yeah.
Basically, he's telling them like, you don't understand what Christmas is all about. Yeah. You don't get it. I'm the guy who gets it. I understand.
The second guy's worse because he hears it, but then doesn't. He goes against it. Yeah. So, that's why he wants to kill him.
Yeah, it's like what's worse, knowing the command, knowing thy father's command and not doing it, or doing it and not listening at first. What's worse? So like that's his thing. It's like he's like a Christmas zealot, basically. Like I said, he puts him on his list, basically on his naughty list. But we know so little about the guy. It's almost like I had to watch it again. I had to watch the first kills again to really think, oh, did he kill the guy? No, it's not the guy. This is some random dude who's mean to him in front of the front steps. But to me, I feel like that is more realistic, because if you're just some guy who's going on your vengeance quest, unless, in fact, I think there was one of my guys I follow on Facebook who does TikTok videos, Jason Pargin, who is the author of John Dies at the End. He did a great video on why revenge movies usually don't work in real life, because you have to be like superhuman, basically. You got to be Liam Neeson with a particular set of skills, or you got to be, the Crow and you're supernatural. That's the only way it would work in real life. Because, and he said that in the video, that sometimes you, as a simple person who doesn't really know everything you need to know to make everything work in the end, how do you know you're going to find the right people who deserve to die? You might end up getting the wrong people. So I think that's what happens here. Like, he had this plan, and he'd been thinking about it too. It's not like he just thought of this, because we see him create the weapon, to create the murder weapon. This little tin, freaking marching, not a nutcracker, but it's a tin soldier. With a very long,
He's got that.
sword.
He's got like little axe. It's a little goofy, that scene when he kills the 3 three.
Yeah.
I guess he hurts the fourth person. It's a little like it's a bizarre scene because it's so. It's
Yeah,
like that one. I could see one person, but then he actually like three people are dead, and then one of them's maimed pretty badly.
well, it's the guys. It's one of the guys' girlfriends who's like cowering in terror,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
do, like
Yeah.
you do when a killer Santa comes in and
Yeah.
just like slams a toy soldier in his eye socket, and then takes
Yeah.
out a little toy axe and beats the crap out of the other two in their skulls. Which, yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's a great
really bizarre.
scene. Like he's intercepting them at midnight mass. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention here that like part of what makes this movie great, like I said, is the tension, and this is when the tension kind of finally boils over. Like this one glorious night. Not only is this guy going to kill people that he deems naughty, or at least try to. If he can't get them, he'll kill whoever's in front of him. But like, who's also naughty. But like, he also does great, beautiful Santa Claus type things, like stealing those toys and bringing them to the kids at that hospital. Like, my golly, when I first saw that scene, I kind of got a little teary-eyed because it's really genuinely affecting. It really is beautiful.
I don't know. I still was like he's acted. I don't know what he's going to do. You know, he just seems like on edge. You know, you just don't know.
I think the hospital gifts is something he knows he's going to do. I think when he goes to the party, I don't think he knows what he's going to do. That's like that wasn't.
Yes.
He gets pulled into the party. Like the party is after he's ready to kill at that point. He's ready to kill, and that's like a jarring moment for him. He gets pulled in to a Christmas party where there's festive, everybody's into it, there's kids there, and suddenly he's like becomes Santa Claus again. But before that, he was in serial killer mode at that point.
Yeah, I'm not sure who he was wanting to kill in there. Maybe his boss.
Well, I think he was just walking past the party.
He just walking past it.
He was going to go kill. He was going to go kill that other guy, which he gets later. That other guy that like made him work late, and then it was just going to the bar to drink.
Yeah.
That bastard.
Yeah, because that's what his plan was. Because that's what he does after the party. But he's on his way there. He gets pulled into the party, and it's almost like the problem at that point is it's too late. He's already killed all these other people. He can't. He could be Santa Claus, but he's not gonna. He's kind of like. He's kind of shit the bed with it, you know, at that point because he's not going to be able to come back and keep doing it.
Yeah, it's like he had these plans and to punish the guilty or to punish the naughty and reward the nice, but it just doesn't quite work.
Well, he does something very bizarre at the party because the party's going so good and everyone's all into him, and then he gives a speech to the kids. Yeah, he tells them to be good, and then he tells what's going to happen if they're not good. And it's like the hilarious, just the expression of all the especially the women's faces are just like, what?
Yeah, up until then he actually has real fun.
Yeah, and it's like, but that is like at that point everyone's like, maybe it's time for Santa Claus to leave.
Yeah, he's a little drunk.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is they did get him drunk too, you know. So you should never get Santa drunk, just so you all know.
No, that's not a good idea, especially being around kids and all that.
You know, that happens in Silent Night, Deadly Night too. By the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh okay.
That happens in Bad Santa too.
Let's not give Santa a drink. Give him milk and he'll be fine.
Yep. Actually, it's funny. I was listening to this great podcast called Table Read, and they did a Christmas. What they do is they make unproduced scripts into radio dramas. And I think last year they did a script. I can't remember the name of it, but it wasn't Santa getting drunk. It was Santa getting high because because some Jewish girl accidentally put edible brownies, edible cookies with drugs in them, and the Santa. But not just any drugs, like really, really, really high grade, like, you know, marijuana. And Santa ate them and he got incapacitated. So then this Jewish girl has to be Santa, even though she doesn't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though.
So again, Do not get Santa drunken. Do not get Santa high. Definitely not a thing that should happen. Something else that occurs to me as I'm remembering this movie and looking at my notes here is like, unlike Taxi Driver, which we've compared this movie to, we can see there's a lot of DNA that it kind of shares. I don't think anybody like De Niro has Sybil Shepherd briefly. De Niro has Jodie Foster's character to be like his friend, some point of contact with the world outside of his insanity. But I don't think Harry ever has that. Like,
well, he has his brother is the only character.
But his brother barely knows him. His brother barely talks to him.
Well, his brother tries to talk to him. He tries to get him to come over there. Like, every time you see him, which isn't that much, he's really upset. He's like, I don't know what's going on with him. He's having another one of these episodes. I can't get through to him. But he doesn't have anybody else.
He doesn't have a confidant or a real friend. His brother is someone who doesn't look. His brother is not someone he looks up to, and his brother doesn't look up to him. Because he doesn't think.
But his brother's wife is probably the closest to a possible friend that he may have, but there's never really any interaction between them. But she does seem to be more sympathetic towards him.
Yeah, you would think he would have like some kind of like friendship with like one of the neighborhood kids or something, but no, not so much. Although I realized also that there is a little scene where he goes by every day and talks to the neighborhood kids. The kids all seem to like him. They do, yeah. The one girl is that he's like, "Oh, Susie, you're so beautiful," and then there's another kid who asks him, what did you wish for today or something, which is out of the blue thing. But I can't remember exactly what the context was. But he says his answer was, "I wished I was super magical today." And then I realized that, he kind of got his wish at the end of the movie, didn't he?
I think in a lot of ways he is like a kid. Because he hasn't gotten past this fantasy thing with the Santa Claus, and he's kind of hung up on it, and so he relates to the kids, not in a sexual way. Because nothing he does in the film is sexual.
Yeah, let's make that very clear, ladies and gentlemen. Even though you might think that from some of the comments he makes in the beginning of this movie, Mr. Harry is not at all a pedo. Just letting y'all know that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. He almost seems maybe he's asexual or something. I don't think he thinks about it at all.
No, I think his mind is completely on Christmas, Santa, and the idealization of Christmas and Santa, which denotes that there is no Mrs. Claus in his world.
That's right. Yeah, that is interesting.
Because if there was, he'd be different.
Yeah, he at least had somebody. I guess that's part of the message of this movie is like, even if someone's crazy in your life, you need to reach out to them.
Yeah, but it's realistic in a way for somebody like that not to make connections. Yeah. A lot of times, like in Taxi Driver, he makes connections with the character that's unlikely, like Jodie Foster's like prostitute character. Unlikely, kind of almost. It works in that film, but it becomes like a what do you call it, that trope with the pixie girl,
manic pixie dream
girl, because you have a character who's really unfriendable suddenly has somebody who is completely into them and ready to like be there for them which was going to be a lot of effort on their part and not much on the other person's part to do it.
Yeah.
It's a trope that gets used a lot, but not in this film. And it seems a little odd that there isn't someone like that in here. Even in, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Billy had his brother, Ricky. But
and he had the other nun too, the Margaret. Yeah. Margaret.
But in this film, he has no one.
Harry has no one, and that just makes him even worse. Yeah.
I think it's realistic. I think it's realistic, but it from a movie standpoint, it may be you may feel something better for him if he had like an opportunity, like a choice not to do what he does, but his progression, there's never like a point in which he's given like a different outcome, another choice, other than what he does.
Yeah,
no, I agree with you on that.
Although at the same time, like I said, this movie, even after he makes those first 3 kills, there's still a tension because because after that is the Christmas party,
Yeah,
and you think, what's gonna happen?
yeah,
Is he gonna do something naughty or nice? Is he gonna flip back? What's the freck is he gonna do? And then finally, I think the and the movie still kind of plays with your expectations because he goes delivering toys to this person's house and he pulls out a butcher knife and you're like, oh gosh. But nope, he used the butcher knife to open some presents and like mess up their presents thing and put some of his presents in there. I'm not sure exactly what he was trying to do there, but
yeah.
but
It
he
was
goes
probably
on.
yeah, it was probably a cheap trick to try to make you think he's going to do something crazy with the knife.
But then he goes and kills one of the kids' parents. That darn guy who was playing hooky, kills
Yeah,
him in
yeah,
his bed. That doesn't go over very well, but he
yeah,
succeeds, I think.
yeah. But
And
he cuts his
Yeah,
neck. But it later says he's dead. But there is a scene that happens before that is awesome. And he goes on top of the roof and tries to
yes,
come
thank you.
down the chimney. As I,
He tries. Yeah, he tries, but he fails miserably.
yeah,
Uh,
that's like him. He thought he could go down it. He thought he was magic and he was going to go down the chimney, and he gets stuck. You know.
well, it's also part of his, where where in the film where he thinks like there, even though he's at the point of no return, that there are some cracks in his psyche and his belief system when he can't go down the chimney to enter the house. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
watching him struggle to get back out of that damn chimney.
yeah.
He's really struggling.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's such a like a powerful scene, and it goes to that and the fact that he literally thought he could do it, and then realizes that he can't, and it's like that was how he's going to get into the house going down the chimney. I don't
and
know.
then he just breaks into like I
Yeah,
think the
yeah,
basement window. He goes to
yeah,
a
yeah,
door. I can't remember if it was door or window, but he breaks into the basement because you see him walk up the steps to get to the main floor. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, like a creeper.
yeah, like
Yeah,
a creeper. So now in the film, he actually is what he was not at the very beginning when he was just spying on kids. He actually is a creeper who breaks into someone's house and tries to go through it.
yeah. And somehow this ends up we're going from that to the people finding out and chasing him through the streets with torches. And now
yeah,
he is Frankenstein monster, basically, at this point.
yeah. It
But
is. I think it's like a day change though. That
It
other
is.
stuff's like Christmas Eve, and then it's like the next day, and his brother talks to him on the phone at one point, and he has a fairly lucid conversation at that point. He seems to be somewhat more aware of everything that's going on, but still somewhat delusional. But that's like one of those where you see some cracks. It has been a day and night thing, but and eventually, like he goes. There's like a really cool like setup of this
Yeah,
one house. It has like a lot of like Christmas kind of decorations out in the front yard, and they all
the
seem to
entire
be kind of the
neighborhood.
same.
It's
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah,
it's
the
the
neighbor.
entrance to the
Oh,
neighborhood.
oh,
All
is that
these
what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the entrance to the neighborhood. It's all these beautiful Santa and reindeer configurations as he's walking up through it, and you think oh my God, he's going to like the epitome of a great neighborhood and everything. And it's a very beautifully shot sequence. But it also ends with him running screaming that from that thing. But the thing is, that next night, the Christmas day slash night, his van gets stuck in the snow and he
oh
doesn't.
yeah. We forgot to
Yeah.
mention that he's got a van. He's got a white serial killer van with the beeped out the blacked out, not blacked out, but whited out door windows. But he's got this really neat Santa mural on it with the sleigh. So
Well, he
basically,
paints it on there.
yeah, this is
Yeah,
his sleigh.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, which
yeah.
the three guys in front of his three victims in front of the church say, "Oh, you've got more modern vehicles these day and age."
But yeah, that's something too. I guess we skipped over, but there is a long part of this movie where he's making the Christmas suit. He actually makes his own suit, and there's a long part where he does stuff like that. It's over music. It is and then he paints the van. There's several things like that happen
Oh yeah, you
for a
see the
long period of
progression.
time. Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
see the progression. It's not a lot of things that's something you don't see a lot in movies nowadays. Is like the slow progression of building something over the course of the first and second act. Most
yeah.
people would just do that as a montage. This movie
Sure,
takes
yeah,
you
yeah.
through that.
Right, right. And so yeah, but so he ends up in there with the van, and he tries to go. I guess he's trying to get to his brother's house is where he's trying to go, and he does eventually get there. But it's when he runs into some more kids, and the kids all see him. He's got a bag full of toys. The parents see him too, and they're like, "Oh, that's Santa."
Killer
But
Santa.
one thing before that, there is another scene where at the police station where they're identifying a bunch of Santas. They have like a group,
Oh,
Oh,
there's like
that's right.
yeah, Raymond J. Barry is one of the cops in there. And, he's they're just trying to. I thought it was cool that Raymond J. Barry was in it, and there was another actor in another part that was the actor from Ace Ventura. I'm trying to remember what his name was, but at the party, but I didn't write his name down.
No, this brings back what me and you, Dave, have had a discussion for already, where these type of films always have to have the cop element that shows up towards the end of Act Two.
Yeah, oh yeah, just out of nowhere. But the cops don't hang around much, though. That's the only cop scene you get, and then after that, it's lynch mob.
It's lynch mob time. But it's a very cool sequence when after Harry is up in that whole neighborhood, and he comes across the kids who see him as like the greatest thing known to mankind. They still have their innocence and everything, and they believe in Santa, but their parents, who are much jaded and have heard about the killer Santa Claus without any proof whatsoever, because they don't see his van. They just assume it's a Santa Claus. He's the killer. They don't know.
Well, he is acting kind of bizarre. Yeah.
I think that the one makes comment on how he looks.
Yeah.
But that's about really it. I mean, to be honest with you, his story could have been any story, but this mob, these parents, assume it's just the killer Santa Claus right off the bat. There is no discussion about it.
But he never corrects them though.
No.
And he stares at him. He stares at him like very like he knows, and they know because of the way he looks at them. Like he's got the kids as shields between him and the other people, and they know that that's what's going on. He looks like you could tell when you've caught somebody who is trying to flee, who's supposed to be a prisoner. When you catch somebody, like the cop sees somebody like that, they know what way that they look.
Well,
and these parents,
these parents. I don't believe parents. Parents are crazy. They're nuts sometimes, dude. They assume a lot of shit that's not real and not really they. I'm a parent. I assume that shit. We're much more cautious. We're in the habit of being cautious. But it doesn't really, the kids believe in the magic that is Santa. I don't know if he's using them as a shield or if they decide to protect.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the kids are blocking, and it goes a little too far. One of the dads takes out a switchblade knife. I mean, all they had to do was be calm, and like say, "Hey kids, come away from Santa, let's go." But instead, they had to get all intense with it.
Yeah. So it's because essentially the film makes the parents out to be the villains at this point, because they're the ones with the weapon, and they're when the one child comes up to confront his own parent, it's like, oh wow.
Yeah. She actually gets the knife from the dad and gives it to Santa, and the Santa about kills her dad with it. So
what? Oh gosh, yeah, that's terrible.
But by that time, when Santa tries to do that to the mob parents, it's over for him, because within the span of like 2 seconds, all the neighbors in the neighborhood are hearing this commotion in the alley, in the streets. They're all looking out the windows. And that's where the whole mob mentality comes from. It's very interesting, despite the fact it seems completely unrealistic. It's really interesting and cool when this mob decides to get into a mob mentality and put together these torches and weapons to go after Santa in the streets. It's like sequence.
It's like, where do the torches even come from? They have a torch and it has a cool shot. They light it up.
Yeah, it's cool.
like, yeah. but it's
I
it's
don't
always
know.
that.
Maybe they all got torches for Christmas that year.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe they had like maybe they had some kind of like fire pit thing going. I don't know, but they
That
had a lot
too.
of
I don't know.
torches. Yeah,
That would be
I don't know.
today's families all have fire pits in their yard. They're probably cooking marshmallows and shit on Christmas Eve and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a
Christmas
lot of
night.
there's a lot of scenes, including this end sequence where there's snow on the ground in this movie that makes it even feel more like Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's like when he runs, and then he ends up back at his brother's house, and that's really like that's really the first time you see him interact with his brother as an adult in person. Every other time it's been on the phone, and his
Yeah.
brother realizes that he's the killer, and
As soon as he sees him, he opens the door and sees his brother, the way he looks and everything, and the way he's acting. Yeah. But he, that's confirmed. Like he kind of says he knew it was his brother, but just from hearing the news reports and all that type of stuff.
yeah.
Which is
No, I mean, it definitely makes sense. He knew he was the killer, but his brother does something really bizarre in the scene, because at this point he could probably just call the cops and they could arrest him, but or put him. I mean, he needs help. He needs to be put in he needs psychological help.
In a home for crazed Santas.
Yeah. But instead of doing that, he tries to kill him. He tries to choke him, and his brother is seeing that it's his brother. He doesn't fight him back, and he lets him choke him, and then he thinks that he's killed him, but he hasn't. Then drags him out to the van.
Or maybe he did kill him, and everything that happens next is just the brother's hallucination.
Yeah. Well, it goes really like the fantasy stuff starts with the torches, but yeah, I mean because what happens next? That's a good point though, because that's because what he drags him out to the van, and then looks like he's trying to cover it up. Like he's dragging him out to the van. I don't know what his plan is, but I think that's a pretty good plan though. Get him out in the van and just be like, oh, by the way, he's out there now. I'm not sure how his neck got choked, but wasn't me.
He choked himself, clearly.
But his wife don't seem too happy about him choking Harry, but she seems like she don't seem like she's gonna be a good sport about that.
Yeah,
but,
the third act could have used another draft, but I do love the ending, how he comes back alive and gets and drives away in the van, and they chase him in his Santa van, his Santa mobile, and they chase him right off the bridge, and it seems like he's gonna go falling into the snowy, icy water. And if you listen, when Harry's brother is tumbling in the riverbed, and there's stuff flying everywhere from the debris, if you listen carefully, it's not even on the soundtrack. The soundtrack, well, not soundtrack, the subtitles.
Yeah.
We'll put we'll put the sound effects on there. They don't do that for this one. But dadgummit, I heard a splash. I heard a splash and a crash, and I think the director put that in there intentionally.
Yeah.
Because the very next shot, spoilers, folks. This is it. The very next shot is Harry's van is flying through the night sky, just like all ET-ish, just flying up and up towards the moon. And on the soundtrack, you hear Harry saying, the last few lines of The Night Before Christmas.
Yeah.
And to all a good night. And that's it. That's how the movie ends.
Well,
like I said,
it has some Christmas music. Yeah.
He got his wish. He got his wish. He got super magic.
Well, also keep in mind that the very beginning starts off with them reading from one of the Christmas books as well. So
yes,
it's with a so this all could be a story that's being told to some child or something like that as well. So
I don't know why you would tell your child the story, but okay.
But we won't know because to be honest with you, I haven't read much about this movie. I mean, there's a reason why the movie just never was on my radar. As much as I read about horror films, it's never been one of those films that people really talk about that often. And
hopefully we'll change that.
That's what we're changing. That's what we're hoping to change. So I, like Dave, didn't get to this film till much later in my horror film day. And to be honest with you, I've seen a lot of holiday horror movies, but I haven't seen a lot of the old school Christmas ones because I just never read a lot of great things about them.
Yeah.
Right. I do remember, like you said earlier, I do remember seeing the cover to this at the video stores. I
Yeah.
do remember it. And,
But when
yeah.
you're looking for some good horror movies and you're walking through the aisles, that one doesn't really scream
Yeah.
great horror Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's
No,
odd.
but dadgummit, if you're looking for something different, if you've seen all the actual Christmas slashers, if you've watched Gremlins for the 15th millionth time, if you've watched the only good version of Black Christmas, which is Bob Clark's version, for the 50 millionth time, you've done all that. By all means, I think this is one to put on that list. I mean, I personally, to me, there's like only 3 really good Christmas horror movies that do what all those things I mentioned, which is that they all embrace the beauty and the charm of the season while also subverting it. And that's Bob Clark's Black Christmas, Gremlins, and this movie.
You're
I
not
feel like
watching enough.
Well, hope I'm writing one, so I probably will watch a lot more. I'm currently working on a script.
You need to watch more Christmas horror movies, good ones.
Yeah.
Well, I'd also do an honorable mention to a Christmas Horror Story starring William Shatner, a very good anthology that's done in a different kind of way, and I do think that all the stories in that anthology are pretty good, especially the one where Santa fights Krampus and a bunch of zombie elves. That's amazing.
Well, I'll put on there on your list. You should definitely watch Rare Exports and Day of the Beast.
Yeah. Rare Exports looks interesting.
I mean, I like the Krampus film too. I thought
and Krampus is a great one too.
Yeah. So it also kind of begs the question now, which seeing as this is an '80s movie, there is one megastar who was very popular even at this point in the '80s, because Conan the Barbarian had come out shortly before this. Wouldn't it be funny? Kevin's
time already, is it?
It would be funny. We've mentioned before that there was the only really time this movie becomes a proper slasher is when he kills those 3 people at those 3 random jerks in front of the cathedral at midnight mass.
Yeah.
And then I asked myself, my gosh, he doesn't really have a kill line as he stabs and axes these guys a question in the head repeatedly with his toy axe. That's not really a toy. But it would be neat if he did. And it would be even neater if Arnold Schwarzenegger has said it. So listen, gather around, ye children, by the fire, and have some milk and cookies, and listen to us as we decide what Arnold Schwarzenegger would have said for this critical scene. Here we go. It is the Schwarzenegger alternator for Christmas Evil, or You Better Watch Out.
Okay.
I got 3 of them, Kevin and Dave. Here we go.
Yeah.
Now I made these rather hastily, so I cannot guarantee their quality, but here we go. So imagine he's coming up to these 3 guys, and he's got the little soldier guy. He's going to stab. He's got this very pointy. It's like 6 inches, and he goes, "Be careful. This little guy could shoot your eye out."
Okay.
It's
Very, Christmas story-ish. Yeah, very, very.
Yeah.
Number two. Hey, I got the message from old Saint Nick. Give my regards to Saint Peter. One saint to another, yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, number 3. This isn't going to be a silent night. Hang on to your jingle balls. I don't think it really fits the scene. I just wanted to say, hang on to your jingle balls.
Oh, Jesus. And that is Thomas Tinarello's Schwarzeneggerisms.
Schwarzenegger alternators, the alternatives.
Alternators for this film.
Da-da-da-da.
So, any other words you'd like to say about the film, guys?
Before we rate it.
I don't have anything at this point. I think we covered it pretty good.
Dave is speechless. Dave is speechless, and I would say, you don't need any eggnog to enjoy this movie, but if you do, don't drink too much of it, or you might miss something.
No, you just need to drink eggnog that's actually spiked. in order to.
Oh, I thought
I would
was
not. I
like,
would not recommend watching this movie while drinking. It is a really slow paced film.
That's
yeah,
why you need the alcohol.
Yeah, yeah,
it is deliberately paced. It's not
yeah.
slow paced.
You know what? You're right. It is deliberately paced. This is not a slow
Yeah.
paced film. This is
It,
deliberate.
it is if you've been drinking, and it's just like, holy shit, what is going
Well, yeah,
on here?
Dave knows because he was trying to watch this movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like it's like, whoa, well now what? Yeah.
All right. So, guys, I want to thank you for discussing this film, Christmas Evil, with me. At this time, everyone who's listening, what we like to do is we like to rate the film. What we like to do on our program, which is slightly different than what other programs do, is that we actually take an item or a thing within the film to rate the movie. It will either be 1, which is very poor, or 5, which is actually excellent. Where on your spectrum and what item would you like to rate this film, Thomas?
Well, there's a lot of little trinkets and things that are lying around here. The obvious choice would probably be that little tin man with the spike that goes into that guy's eyeball, or a Santa beard. But no, I think to me the thing that defines this movie is that flying Santa van at the very end of the movie, because that twist makes the whole thing worthwhile. Or you'll probably, if you're a certain kind of person, you'll probably be like, huh? And like, that's dumb. And then feel betrayed. But hopefully you're not that kind of person, because honestly, what's wrong with you? So I think I would rate this 3.5. Yeah. 3.5 flying Santa vans out of 5. It's pretty dang good. It's got some little wobbly bits in there, some parts that are kind of missing towards the end, but like I said, if you're looking for something different, if you're looking for, or if you're not the kind of person who, really who enjoys, Christmas slashers, or if you want something a little darker and different your holiday season, and you're sick of watching Die Hard for the millionth time this Christmas, it's very easy to find. Fire it up on Tubi or Plex or whatever free streaming app you use, and watch Christmas Evil, aka You Better Watch Out.
All right, and where would you put the film, Dave?
Well, I was going to use the van as well, but I'm
Wait.
going to change it now because Thomas did it first. So. But that's I'll go with the chimney on this one. Like Santa trying to go down the chimney. So I like the film. It, like we talked about it being deliberately paced. I think that it was, some parts were a little drawn out, I thought. Even though I appreciate the ideas behind it, and I do like the psychological stuff, it really made sense. I really like the ending with the van flying away, which really didn't happen. He dies, like we talked about, when he crashes into the water. But just the idea of that fantasy, that mixed with the opening fantasy, which also didn't happen either. But I do like those two ideas in the film. I'm going to give it a 3 chimney rating.
3 chimneys out of 5.
But that's okay, Dave, because I'm going to give it a 3 mobs with flaming torches. So, which is, I guess, more mobs than what is currently in the film. But 3 mobs with flaming torches, I think, is pretty good.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen this movie a handful of times because it's a recent watch for me. This isn't one I grew up on. So for me, it's a solid film. It is a deliberately paced film. It is a product of its time. So for me to recommend it to a lot of younger generations is probably not going to happen as much. This is a film I would kind of recommend to people who can appreciate. And I know they can.
Well, yeah, I think the way that it looks too, because it looks like very 70-ish. Everything that you see on screen is like, I think anybody watching is going to be like, what is this old movie that we're watching?
Yeah.
Even like a movie that takes place in the 70s now doesn't look like the 70s. It looks more polished. Yeah. That looks like, if you want to see what the 70s looked like, that's what it looked like. I know the early 80s looked like that,
And that's the one thing I have against the film, is that it does look dated. So to recommend it to modern audiences, you have to recommend it to someone who can appreciate the time period in which the film was originally released and what it was trying to do. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the way you have to recommend this film. I would not just tell people to go out there and watch Christmas Evil. Like, I just won't. Like,
Yeah.
Or you could just, if you have Shudder, just watch Joe Bob's version of it, and you'll have an even better time.
One thing I didn't mention before, I have a note on it, but there is a lot of really cool B-roll in this of the city, like at Christmas, and it's like characters aren't in that, but when it just gives you a really good feel for the city when you see those shots.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those movies that either the Gen Z might put on the background, just playing during their Christmas horror themed holiday party.
You think Generation Z is going to be playing Christmas Evil in the background?
I have given up trying to predict what Gen Z is going to do.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, I tried to watch this at a party situation like that. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not that type of movie. It's going to bring that party to a halt because it's so deranged. I mean, it's not deranged in the way that, like, say if you put on like a slasher like Silent Night, with the remake of Silent Night, Bloody Night, people are going to be into that. But this is like a pull into it. This, like you said, the first thing you said, it was a very sad movie. You got a very sad character who starts out sad and progressively gets worse. So it's not a happy movie.
No.
Not that Silent Night is happy either, but it's fun. Fun in a way that you see. It takes it as fun. This is probably this is a deeper psychological film, and it's technically probably a better movie, even though the other one's more entertaining.
It's kind of like how me and you, Dave, discussed both the original Bob Clark's Black Christmas and the remake from 2006. The 2006 movie is a great movie, but it's made to entertain more so than else.
Yeah, and it's crazy how much violence is in that one compared to the original one. But again, it was a lot. I mean, I had a lot of fun with it.
Different time period.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys for joining us on this conversation in horror. I want to thank everyone who has been listening to us talk about Christmas Evil. I hope that you've had a pleasant listening experience. I hope that you search out all of the other great Christmas-themed horror films that we have released this month and will continue to release up until the day of Christmas. We will have some amazing episodes throughout the entire month, even on Christmas Day. So we hope you'll stick around for that. From all of us here, have a pleasant day and try not to open up those gifts before Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production. Written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.